Hello, friends. This is Hal, Quail Studios Guitar. How you doing today? It's great to be here. Today is September 11th, 2021. I know what that means, and I'm going to talk about that at the end. I'm going to tell you exactly where I was on September 11th, 2001. Sorry about that. And I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. But for right now, we're going to talk about vibrato on electric guitar. And I'm going to use, I've decided to take, what's the name of the song? There is a house in New Orleans, right? I'm going to take that song and we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to use the chord progression, and we're going to play a little bit of the melody, and I'm going to show you what I do on electric guitar. Okay, here we go. House of the Rising Sun. For some reason, it wasn't coming out. Okay, here we go. I didn't really work this out very well. Okay, so what I've done so far, for a moment here, I just did some very subtle vibrato. Right, that's just very subtle vibrato. And I'm using sideways vibrato. One thing about an electric guitar is that when you play an electric guitar, right, if you push too hard, you can actually put the guitar out of tune. If you bend the string, right, you can put the guitar out of tune. And it's very easy to do that. So a lot of times beginning guitar players, when they're playing, they play too hard. You know, they'll push down too hard when they're first starting to play because they really dig into it. It just happened to me. So you got to learn, especially on electric guitar, especially with these light strings. I have 9s on here. These are Diodario. Right now I'm using NYXLs. One of my favorite guitar players uses these strings, and I thought I'd try them out. They're okay. They're a little more expensive than the regular Diodario strings that I use. I'm not sure that I'm totally excited about these particular strings, but hey, they're working okay. They sound pretty good. Anyway, so when we bend these strings, right, what I do is I touch the guitar right there. Here's the first knuckle of the hand. And on the other side, I touch the guitar right there. And when we're bending, down here, if I use one finger or two fingers, I'll do a little up and down movement right there. And it's actually more of a hand and wrist and arm movement. You know, it's not the fingers going like this. It's actually that kind of a movement. It doesn't matter where I am. Right? And it's a little bit like that. Now, a vibrato can be side to side. It's very subtle that way. If it's up and down, it's a little wider. On electric guitar, I like a little wider vibrato. Like that. So if I'm playing that melody, wrong chord, wrong note. Let's start again. All right, I'm going to start here. this worked out. There we go. Let's put some distortion on. That was better, wasn't it? One thing that just occurred to me, when we're playing with distortion, and when you're playing the electric guitar, or any guitar really, but especially on the electric guitar, and especially with distortion, it's very easy to make the guitar sound noisy. And so you've got to cover strings, you've got to mute strings that you're not playing. That just occurred to me when I was just doing that. So for instance, hold on. If I play this note, hear that extra sound. Right? I actually have to put my hand, hear that? Right? You don't want that to happen. You want the guitar to be quiet, especially when you're playing single notes. Sometimes when you're playing chords and things like that, well, you want to mute the strings that don't sound good, obviously, but especially if you're playing single notes, right? You'll notice that my hand is right here on the guitar. What I'd like you to do is to find your favorite guitar player, whatever guitar player that is, and watch him on YouTube or live or something. I used to do this, I used to go to dances when I was a teenager, and I'd watch the guitar players and I'd go, why are they holding their pick like that? And I'd go home and I'd try that. And I'd say, why are they doing that with their guitar? Why are they putting their guitar this way? Or what are they doing? I'd go home and I'd try it, and I'd watch live. Live is the best because you get to hear it and see it, and it's not a recording and it's not edited. So you can tell if someone is really good or not, right? And you can say, I want to be like that. Okay, so you need to look at what they're doing with their left hand and with their right hand and how they're muting strings. Well, when they bend, see how I got my elbow out right here? You can do it with one finger, or two fingers, or three fingers. Actually, a lot of times when I'm using my ring finger, excuse me, it's a little noisy on this big muff. I've got a big muff right here that I'm using. That's why it's a little noisy. What I do is I put two fingers on the string. Let me get rid of that. And then I put this finger so it overlaps and touches the other strings and mutes those strings. Right? So right above it, my first finger, shut that off. My first finger will mute the string, one or two strings right above it, and then my thumb will come over and mute other strings. Right? And sometimes when I've got my hand in this position, you'll see my right hand muting strings down here. Right? Okay, let's, anyway, that's what happens. So you can do really wide vibrato. Right? You can do more of a... That was the wrong note, wasn't it? That's not so wide there. Right there. And when I do a real wide vibrato without the distortion, it doesn't sound as good to me. So when you have distortion on, though, some reason, it sounds better with the distortion. I don't know why, but maybe because it's more fuzzy around the edges or something, and you can't hear the exact note. That's the way it is. So what did I talk about? Anchor your hand like this. Sometimes my elbow is out. You'll see my guitar is in this position. I'll face the camera now, right? And my guitar is actually way out like that. A lot of times when I'm playing, I'm actually facing this way right now and the camera's over there. And then my guitar is presented to the camera like this. So it may look like it's across my body, right? But it's not. See that? Hello, who's here? Sounds great. Thank you, Sadie. Thanks for being here. Hey, and Dodd, how you doing? Good to have you here. Okay, so really appreciate you making a comment. Anybody else want to tell me where they're from? Sadie, you want to tell me where you're from? Dodd, you want to tell me where you're from? Okay. What else do I have? Anybody have a question? Let's see if there's any questions that come through. It takes a couple of seconds because there's a little delay from the time I actually say it to the time they get the message, and then they have to type it in. If there's no questions, that's fine. I'll stick here just for another second before I talk about the last thing before I go. Really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you being a part of this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I don't see any other questions, so that's fine. Okay, so you got to remember we talked about a light touch when you're playing. We talked about when you have a distortion, you can do wider vibrato. When you don't, you can do vibrato side to side like this. Hear that? You can do vibrato up and down. You can do wide vibrato. Okay, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to talk about one more thing. Sadie says, Delta Blues area in Mississippi. Hey, fantastic. That's great. Very good. Thanks for being here. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about one more thing before I go. I said at the beginning of my broadcast, it's September 11th. 20 years ago today it's 10 o'clock in the morning where I am, and that's what time it was. I was in Mountain Daylight Time, 20 years ago when 9/11 happened. I actually went to an 8 o'clock lesson on 9/11, right? I didn't have the TV in. I didn't have the radio on. I didn't have the TV on. I just went to my lesson. I had my guitar with me. It was an acoustic guitar. I went to somebody's door. The fellow that I went to was a highway patrol officer, and he was just waking up and stuff like that. And I knocked on his door, and he opened the door, and he was boiling mad. And I thought, oh man, this may not be a good time for a lesson. But he had his lesson on Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning, every Tuesday. And he loved his guitar lesson, but he looked really, really mad. And I thought, wow, I wonder if his wife left him or something like that. I hope he's okay. He said, come in here and you got to see this. I said, what? So I went in and he had the TV on and the Twin Towers were burning. And I don't remember if there was only one Twin Tower burning so far or if there was another one that happened, but I remember that it was early in the morning and we sat there and watched in disbelief as we watched the Twin Towers. And while we were watching, and I probably was there for an hour and a half or 2 hours or something, we didn't have a guitar lesson that day. We just were in shock. We watched the Twin Towers fall, and it was just amazing. My heart goes out to all of those affected by that tragedy. The first responders, the firemen, the workers, all the people that helped, all the people that lost their lives, and the families that were affected. Also to all of those that had loved ones or friends that suffered in any way because of 9/11. My heart goes out to you. May God's love heal your souls and bring you inner peace and the ability to forgive. I pray, and I thank you for watching. Take care, my friends. We'll see you next time.